wasn't talking to people, and I was kind of just pushing it on them. And I think that's where objections come in, because I rarely have, I don't have as many objections as I used to, but I also take it a lot slower with people. The way that I do it, like Annalisa said, is I do mostly private message people. I try to reach out to at least 1 or 2 people every day. And it sounds scary, and it is scary. And there's going to be people who don't write back to you, and that's fine too. I've learned to deal with that, because honestly, I've had people write back a month or 2 later like, oh, sorry, I never checked my Facebook messages. You do, but it wasn't a good time for you, and that's fine. So the way that I do it is I'm an awful poster, like Annalisa said. I'm working on that. I'm going to try to post more, but what I do is I try to reach out to somebody. I just private message them and I say, hey, I'll kind of look through their page, or I'll see if there's a status that I can like or comment, and I'll say, hey, just thinking of you. And I know that sounds random and that sounds scary, but that's really is what works for me. And then I'll go back and forth, and hopefully they'll have seen one of my posts so that they'll bring it up to me. But if not, I'll continue a relationship with them and find somewhere that something that I have in common with them. I read that objections it's either uncertainty, they don't have enough information, or they just don't trust you yet. So those are the 3 main reasons of why somebody is giving you an objection: that they're uncertain about the product because they don't have enough information, or they really don't trust you. So if somebody on the street was to stop and say, hey, you should go see this movie, you wouldn't think twice. You wouldn't be like, want to see the movie. You don't know who they are. You don't trust them. But if it was one of your friends saying, oh, you really should see this movie, you're more apt to go see it because you trust that person. So you just realize if you are getting objections, you want to kind of build a relationship better with them and keep going with it. You also want to try to prevent the objection before it happens. Sometimes people will say to me too early on, they'll say, oh, okay, well, what's the cost? So I always will answer it and say, oh, there's a bunch of different options. Let's find out what your goals are first, so that I can continue on the conversation and just keep realizing why they want it. Like, what do they need in their life? Are they exhausted? Do they have young kids that they're drained? Do they need to lose weight? Do they only want to tone up? Are they not sleeping? Do they have some sort of like the high blood pressure, cholesterol? I really do believe that everyone needs Shakeology, especially at this time of year, because I didn't get sick at all last year. And when I tell you I've had bronchitis every single year since, oh my God, since I can remember, probably 6 or 7 years old, like not breathing bronchitis, like prednisone, steroid medicine, awful, awful. I didn't get it last year because I was on Shakeology. So I swear by this stuff. So don't you want everyone in your life to not get sick this year, especially with the craziness going on? But when you think about it, you want to be able to tell them about all that things, but you want to find out why they want it, what they need first. So you want to just say to them like, oh, let's go over the options once we figure out what your goals are. So you don't want to try to be an expert on the products. That's where I love the third-party tools, because they'll say, well, I don't really understand what it is. I love to send How Healthy Is Your Shake. That third-party tool has been my favorite, because I feel like it explains exactly what's in it without me like word vomiting on them. I used to, when I started, I would say, oh yeah, there's maca and spirulina. Talk about. So that's really helped me to send those videos out. And I just try to share why I do this. I share that I was exhausted before I started, and I was really out of shape, and I needed some help nutritionally. I've read that you can't get the proper amount of nutrients from food alone. So Shakeology has about 5 salads a day. I never use the word protein shake, because it's not a protein shake. And then people are going to give you objections because they're going to say, oh, I can get a protein shake at GNC. Well, you can, but this is completely different. This is not a protein shake. This is a superfood shake. So right there, not using that word protein shake, by saying superfood shake, eliminates all protein shake objections. In reality, people aren't even protein deficient. If you tested a bunch of people, they wouldn't be lacking in protein. They'd be lacking in nutrients. An apple today, I guess, is like 50% the nutrients, even organic. It's just the way that things are right now. There's not as many nutrients in food, so you can't get all the foods and vitamins that your body needs anymore. You literally just can't. And the same, you can take medicines, but they're not as bioavailable. They don't get delivered to your body. So when you just by avoiding saying protein shake, using superfood, I think that avoids one objection as altogether. And then the money objection is, I always say, well, let's talk, and then you'll be able to tell. So I read, I think it was one of the summit conferences was saying, if you're not comfortable enough to invite somebody to your birthday party, which kind of sounds ridiculous. My son's 5 and he's like, you're not coming to my birthday party. Now saying this, I'm like, I totally sound like I'm 5. But if you're not comfortable enough to invite somebody to your birthday party, as in like, oh, come hang out with me, you probably haven't developed a relationship with them enough to say, oh, you should do this with me. You should join my challenge group. It probably means that you need to get to know a little bit more about them, because they need to get to know a little bit more about you so that they can trust that what you're saying is legit. Because you don't want to look like a salesperson. You don't want to come off and, hi, I was just thinking of you. You should join my challenge group. You really need to develop that relationship, and that sometimes it takes me months to sign people. I've actually, the 2 people that I've signed this month are from, I haven't even been talking to them this month. I've had a kind of crazy 2 weeks. I was talking to them last month, and it's just how it happens. But if you're continuously reaching out to new people each day, then you have more and more people on your list. It sounds like it takes a lot of time, but think about it. How hard is it to send a message to one random person each day? Somebody that maybe you connected with years ago, or you used to be friends with, or you used to work with, and just say, hey, how you doing? There's a thing, and it's called the power of hello. And it's all about like how you can literally change someone's life just by saying hi. Because you never know what people are going through. A lot of people have joined my team literally because they want to be a part of something. I think it's a lot of moms, like when you're a new mom, you're home with your kids and you're just kind of struggling and not really talking to any other adults. Something like this is so bigger than that, and it's just something to be a part of and something exciting that you can kind of branch off and leave mommy world just for a few minutes. So some people love that too. So once you just reach out to someone and say, hey, how you doing? That person might be like, oh, hi, someone's thinking of me. Because when you're a mom, you tend to be the one who's always thinking of everyone else. So for you to do that to someone else and say, hey, how are you? You literally might change their life. And that's what the power of hello is. So as scary as it is to reach out to somebody and say hello, they might not write back to you. And that's fine too. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just saying hi. But if they do write back to you, you never know that you might change their life. You want to try and get to the emotional part of people's brains. So you're going to start talking to new people. And then once you start to talk to them, think about when you want to buy a car and you see this car and you're like, oh, that car's so awesome, I need to have it. And then they show you the price, and if you didn't love the car, you'd be like, I would never spend that on a car. But if you already love that car, you're like, that's fine. You know what? I will put this on a credit card. I will stop drinking this. I'll figure out a way to make it work because you're emotionally attached to that car. So if you can help people become emotionally attached to the value of Shakeology and how great Shakeology is for you, then you'll have them. You won't have objections because it'll be the same thing like somebody said with a Louis Vuitton handbag. Who needs that handbag? But there's people out there who are like, oh, I have to have that bag. You don't have to have that bag. You could get a bag anywhere. But once you're emotionally attached to it, then you really, really want it. So you'll figure out a way to make it work so that you won't even have objections. So you just have to first work with people to get them to see the value of what Shakeology is, and then just get into their emotional brain. You want to share this with people, and you want to be interested in their life. I know they say be interested and not interesting. That's a common Beachbody thing, but I love it. Posting on Facebook is being interesting. And you, of course, want to be interesting. You want people to follow you. And it does give you that connection with people. It makes them feel like they know what's going on in your life and you're approachable. You have to have that connection. But also, just as important, you want to be interested in them. So when you're messaging them, you want to ask a ton of questions. It sounds crazy, but people love to talk about themselves. It's true. Especially people who are sitting in an office all day doing something. Once somebody is like concerned with them, they're like, oh, well, my goals are like, I do want to lose a few pounds, or And they honestly think like, how nice of you to ask. You know what I mean? Back to the power of hello, you're really changing someone's life. Going back to the movie part of it, think about how when you share a movie. So I was saying, like, if a stranger was to say, go see this movie, you'd be like, okay, not seeing the movie. But if your friend does, you're like, oh, my friend loves it. I love my friend. I want to see that movie. When your friend is telling you to go see that movie, think of how they're saying it to you and think of why they're saying it to you. I think a lot of people, myself included, when I started, it's like a mind game. I would be like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm trying to make money off them. And I really got stuck in that in my head. Now I 100% believe that I'm helping that person so much more than they're helping me. Yes, will I make a small commission? Yes, will I make those 2 Success Club points? I'm giving them health. I'm giving them a whole new way of life. I'm giving them something that might lower their blood pressure, like literally their doctor might turn around and say, wow, you're healthy. And I could have saved them millions of dollars in medical bills. I really do believe that. And if you can train your brain to think that way, it becomes so much easier to approach people. So when you're telling your friend to go see a movie, think about what you're saying to them. You're saying, oh my God, I saw this movie. It was so great because it made me feel like this, or I loved it because. You're not sitting there saying like, oh, you should see this because there was 42 members of the crew and it was made in 1992 and the cast was this and it's 1 hour and 32 minutes long. You're saying, I love the movie because this, and it's about your feelings and your passion and how you feel about it. So if you're sitting there and saying, I love Shakeology because it has maca and spirulina and astragalus, it's not connecting with people and they're probably not going to see it. You know what I mean? It's that back to that emotional connection, which will also avoid the objection because they're emotionally connected to it. So just train your brain to share it as if you were sharing your favorite pair of shoes. Like, I love these shoes. You should buy these shoes. They're so cute and they're comfortable. How crazy. Like if someone said that to me, I'd be like, I need those shoes. How are they cute and comfortable? I have to try them. I would be emotionally attached to them because I would want to wear them out. So if you can talk about Shakeology like that, like you're going to feel better and you're going to be able to focus on losing weight. You'll emotionally attach them, but share it like you're sharing anything in the world. Be comfortable sharing that because people will respond better. And if you train your brain to not feel like you're selling something, believe me, I did not want to be a salesperson at all. I am that person who I hate when people don't like me. I'm way, way, way too sensitive. My husband was like, you are not doing this job. There's no way. I cry if someone doesn't, it's awful. But it's not a salesperson. I actually was talking to one of my good friends when I first signed up, and I was like, yeah, I actually feel better, and I've lost weight, and I'm this, and I'm that, and she's like, all right, sold. I cringed. I'm like, oh my God, like, I did not sell you something. I am not a used car salesman. Like, that's rude, Katie. And I was horrified that she said that. But that's when I realized that sales and sharing, it's the same thing. It just depends on how you present it. So you have to train your brain that you're not necessarily selling something. You're literally just helping people. And if you convince yourself it's the truth, but if you convince yourself that you're helping them more than they're helping you, it just works. It works so much better, and you're not going to be focused on the outcome and what happens with it. You just are sharing it with them because you want what's best for them. So you do have to be confident, and you have to weigh, like, how badly do you want to help them versus what's their excuse or what is their objection. How can you combat that objection? Because it's probably just something that's holding them back. Also, though, it might not be the right time for them. When I tell you I have 6 diamonds right now, not 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all 6 originally said no to me. I'm not exaggerating. I promise you that is true. All 6 of them were like, I have no interest. Sorry. 4 of them said, I'll do the shake, but I have absolutely no interest in the business. And I'm like, okay. But I just continued on my relationship with them, my friendships. That's not going to break me. If they're not interested in the business, that's okay. I wasn't either at first. You just have to figure it out. And you just continue to form a relationship. But I've had people who say, I do not want Shakeology. I have no interest. I like to drink water only. That's fine. Continue to form that relationship because you really never know. And just offer them free, valuable advice, because that's another thing that builds trust when you want to help somebody. So if they're having trouble with, I don't know, saving money, maybe you can offer some tips like that. Or if they're just bought a new house and you love decorating, share that with them. Like, don't make it always all about Beachbody or even all about health and fitness. Be like what a true friend would be. I know this sounds like a lot of work, but some of my closest friends now are new coaches because I have so much in common with them. But I would have never reached out to them had it not been for this job. So it really does bring you closer with people. They say that the human brain says no 7 times before they say yes. I don't know how true that is. I think I just saw that on a blog somewhere, but it kind of makes me feel better because I've had so many people say no to me and then turn around and they're like, you know what? I'm ready. Sign me up. I need it now. And I thought these people would never say yes. So don't give up on people. Just continue to form the relationships. Something that I love, love, love is I felt, I found. When people say to me like, oh, that's so expensive, I always say, even though I didn't think this might be considered a white lie, I always say, oh, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Even if I didn't think it was so expensive, because I was able to see the value, having them think that you're relatable and that you know what it's like and that their feelings are valid, it just makes them that much more secure in your relationship, and that they trust you because you're not saying, oh, you're stupid. It's not like, oh, don't be silly. It's not expensive. You're validating their response. Like, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but I found that I was spending $5 a day at Starbucks. My multivitamin was not giving me what I needed because I was still getting sick all the time. And this has the amount of nutrients as 5 salads. I could never eat 5 salads because that's a ton of calories and I would gain weight. So I found this was so much better for me because of my situation. But I know how you feel, and continue it on. That's like my favorite saying ever. That's from GoPro. I feel, I felt, I found. Basically it's, is your belief in the product deep enough? So you want to measure your belief in the product against their excuses. If you don't love Shakeology, research it a little more. Like, get to know how amazing it is. And then you'll be able to easily share that because you'll believe it yourself. So those are my little tips, Annalise. I know I kind of went on and on and on. It's 8:54, sorry for rambling.
That's awesome. No, I'm so many golden nuggets in there. And I'll kind of wrap up what you said because I know you have to get off for a call, but I just wanted to see if anyone had questions for Erin before she has to get on her call, and then I'll kind of just recap the things that I thought were awesome so she can go and mentally prep for her own call. But does anyone want to ask her anything? You can type it in the chat if you want, or you can come off mute. And while you guys think, but I love the emotional attachment, and then knowing that you're giving them more than what they're giving you, because really, you're right, you're giving them either a whole program's worth or a whole life change, or whether it be Shakeology or the 21-day fix, you're giving them so much just by having them commit to a program with you and in your challenge groups. And then really, the overcoming objections is so much more of a sort of a preventative measure. So you're doing it before they can even object, or so you're giving them all of this information and getting their emotional attachment so that it's harder for them to say no when they don't want to say no because they're invested in it. And that way you might limit the amount of objections, but when you get objections, you know how to respond because you believe in these products and you know how they work for people, and those awesome tips about I feel, I felt, I found, those responses. So I really appreciate Erin coming on here. So much helpful information. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, anytime. You're the best, Annalisa. It was good to see you.
Good to see you too. Have a good call.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you.
And then everyone else, if you guys, she's awesome. I highly recommend finding somebody in this business that pushes you a little bit more. Erin is so easy to talk to, relatable. She's not, she's humble. She's doing it for all the right reasons. And she kind of like hit this 6-star qualifying, and I was at Super Saturday with her, and she's like, doesn't really like recognition, but she deserves every bit of it. So follow her. Her name, I'll tape it in here so you guys know. That is Erin's name, and you'll see like in her wall, it's more so about sharing. She believes fully in like letting people into her life, which is huge. So you don't have to share Beachbody products on your wall, but you have to let people into your life a little bit more, because people, you know, I'm always shocked about the amount of people that like some of my most random things. Like my picture on the bridge the other day had like a ridiculous amount of likes, and I'm so appreciative of it. But I'm like, those are the things people want to see. And you know, my challenge group posts may get 10 likes or something, but I know people are watching, so I don't get discouraged about them, and I kind of sprinkle them in here and there, because I want people to know about groups. But sharing is so huge. But yeah, overcoming objections. Don't feel like when you reach out to people that, you know, they feel like you have this hidden agenda. Make it really casual at first. Just, hey, you don't even have to bring up Beachbody in the first conversation. Have a conversation. Just, hey, how are things going? I saw that post the other day. Looks like, you know, you're having a lot of fun with your toddler, or whatever it may be. Something that you can relate to their page, to their life. So I won't go any further. I think Erin gave us a whole ton of information. I'm happy to have all of you guys on, and I really appreciate you joining us tonight. Next week, same thing, 8:30. I'll try to stay consistent with Aspire Nation calls, and you guys are obviously invited and welcome to join Drop the Cookie on Thursday nights. So whatever is helpful for you, but tune in to at least one call a week whenever you can. All right, guys. Good night. Thanks for coming on.